like when I was rehearsing for this one that we're doing on recording on Saturday,
Oh, right.
it was my poor dog. She had to listen to me just to mirror, mirror on the wall. She was like,
The dog was putting her paws over her ears. Okay. Welcome to this edition of The Table of Content. I am your host, Albert Saenz, where we talk about all things audio theater. And today we have the pleasure of being joined by one of our active audio theater volunteers, Peg Bryan. Peg, thank you so much for joining us for the show.
oh, well, you're welcome. This will be a lot of fun.
So when we talk to someone, one of the volunteers, I know it's important sometimes that people may not know you. They may not know anything about your background. They may not even know that you're a volunteer, right? Because we already do audio work, so no one may know your face.
Right.
So this is an opportunity to get to know, like, who is Peg Bryan. So can you start by just giving a little bit of background to who you are?
Sure. I was born and raised in Latrobe. Graduated from Latrobe High School in 1979, went to Seton Hill, studied psychology, social work, tried going out and worked in restaurants. That was just, that's a terrible life to manage a restaurant. I mean, if you think about it, people only come to restaurants when they're hungry. When they're hungry, they're grouchy. So when people come to restaurants, they're grouchy.
So
right?
you dealt with grouchy people.
So I dealt with grouchy people for 7 years. And moved around a little bit with the company, went to Harrisburg. That's where my son was born, in Harrisburg. And then I couldn't take any of that anymore. So Matthew and I moved back home, stayed with my parents for a while, and then that was when I met my current husband. And he has 2 boys. It was just nice. All of a sudden, we were a family of 5, right? And in the interim, I had to leave that restaurant business. It was taxing. Plus, I had a toddler. So I went back to school, went back to Seton Hill, and got my math teaching certificate. So I was very lucky. I got a job right away. I taught 2 years at Latrobe, and then I was hired permanently at Norwin in 96, and I retired in 2023 from there. So nearly 30 years in the classroom, but that was a great career. I mean, to be a mother and have the same summers off, and it was just a great career. Really, really was.
It's a transition, though. I mean, you spend 7 years as in the restaurant business, and then you go to teaching math. Was that kind of a jolt, or did it just kind of happen naturally?
It was very easy. It was very easy to make the transition. Like, the number thing was always good for me. So it was real easy. In Seton Hill, I was in and out of there in a year and a half.
To get the certification?
To get the certification.
Okay.
I took like 7 math classes, or 7 courses a semester. And they didn't care because they knew I was older and could handle that.
Okay.
So they helped push me through real quickly, because that was the goal, was to get out and start working again.
And you did?
And I did. Yeah. Yep. So then moved back. I was really bold, and we moved to Greensburg from Latrobe. I know.
That's like leaving. It's like going to another country.
It is. It really is. Yeah. 10 minutes away. I mean, it was bold.
I've had that sort of reaction before. Like, people sort of treat different areas like it really is. Like, oh, you're from. I don't ever go there. Isn't it? No? Okay, that's too far. Got it. Too far.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have restaurant, we have return to education, teaching. Where does theater come in?
Oh, well, I've always loved participating in theater. Did that in high school, and then did a little bit in college. But then working in restaurants, it's a little tough to get every weekend off.
I imagine.
But when I got back from moved back. I got settled in with the job, and I cantor for Holy Family.
Okay.
So one of my music directors, Aaron Gray, from years ago, said, "Hey, there's a theater coming to town, Cabaret Theater. Um, I think you would love working with them. We have auditions." "Oh, when are they?" "Up tomorrow." Like, "Oh, okay." So I just went. I had, sang a familiar song, and I I was cast, and I did so much work with them. They're not here in
Okay.
Latrobe anymore, but I did a ton of things with them, and then got to meet other people that were doing things in other theaters. So I do work in Scottdale now at the Geyer Theater in Scottdale. I've done a show at Greensburg Civic Theater. I just do as much as I can, like as much as my brain will hold, as many
Right.
words as my brain will hold. I just do it. When one's done, I'll check out what I can do next. It's fun. It's just a lot of fun.
So I'm curious, like you said, you said you cantor Holy Family,
Mhm.
and you said you've done theater since high school, but
Mhm.
particularly, singing is a unique sort of avenue for
Mhm.
someone. So have you been singing as long as you've been acting, or was that something that came later?
I I honestly don't ever remember a day of my life when I haven't had a song in my head. It goes nonstop. I wake up and it's there. I go to bed and it's there. It's always right there. It's there right now. It's always there. So, like, that has just, like, been in me since forever.
Favorite type of music? Genre?
I you know, I think I like music from, like, the '60s and '70s. I had cousins that were, like, 10 years older than me, so when we went there to visit, which was twice a week, they would just, like, the music was always going, but because they were older than me, I listened to
Right.
music that was really not like nursery rhymes. It was the Supremes and that. And yeah, but that era is really what I like the most. But, like, I'm open to everything. I play the piano, not very well anymore, but so I have classical training in me. Played the
I should have put a
guitar.
piano in here and been like, Peg, why don't you play us something? Go.
No, that wouldn't have happened. I'm not even sure I could play chopsticks anymore.
I don't even know if I could play chopsticks. Well, so we've kind of covered, how you've come to the position in your life,
Uh-huh. Mhm.
retired now, you
Mhm.
lot of time with the Cabaret Theater,
Mhm.
now other theaters. What about our theater? We Are One Body Audio Theater. How did you find us?
Well, my one cousin that played all the crazy music, she I don't know how she heard about this station, but she contacted me. She read a proverb, like, I don't know, when did that 4 years ago,
Right.
maybe like 4 well, that would have been it probably was about 21,
Okay.
okay, because that wouldn't have been in 2020. So probably about in 21. She came in and read a proverb, and I guess Carrie would have been the one that she was
Hmm.
talking with, and she told her, "If you know anyone else." So she came home and she said, "You're gonna love this." So I emailed, and here I am.
And did
It's so fun.
I was going to
I
ask, it says,
love it.
and did you love this?
I love it here. I just love it here.
Why?
Just warm and welcoming, and everyone's friendly, and no no grumpkins walking around here. Like, everyone's just and it's the right atmosphere that a church-related place should be.
I'm curious. You said so. The atmosphere is warm. It's inviting. People are friendly. There's no grumpkins. And I'm not asking in a way that you're putting anyone else on the spot. Just in general speaking, are other like in other theater companies, other groups, is there a bit more sort of like, the environment isn't quite as warm or inviting? Is it just something that's specific to us, or I'm
That's an interesting question. I will say every theater place that I've worked has their own vibe.
Mhm.
Um, Cabaret, and now I spent the most time there too. Very John was very loving and, like, "Lock up the theater when you're done, I'm going home now," and we would just sit and, like, the group of us would sit and talk for 2 hours afterwards and just, like, get to know each other, and that was, like, created, like, that trust factor too that you have to have in theater. Um, I don't we don't so much see that kind of sit around and talk as a big group at at other places. Um, but always there are little groups that form, and you can get that bonding and that trust. So that John created it for sure, but he directed every show, and he wrote a lot of his shows. So he was always there, but some directors kinda come and go at the other places, but there's a lot of camaraderie and that trust building in any theater group I've been with.
It's probably a fair assumption to make, but I'll let you verify it. Like, in your opinion, is that sort of bond, that camaraderie, is that important to have in a place where you're doing theater?
Oh, tremendously. We like, the one of the, English teachers at Norwin High School, had asked me to be a guest speaker, and that was, like, the big message I wanted to send was the communication, and you can only get that through through working together, but it builds the trust. You know, one show I did, I had to just sit down on a chair, but I didn't put it there. Someone came behind me and put the chair down, and I trusted because we talked through it, like, "Where do you want this chair?" And I never looked. I just sat down,
And the chair was
and the
there.
chair was always there. Yep. It was always in the same place, and I knew if I walked back from where I was 2 steps, I could just sit down, and it would be there. Just those kinds of things, that trust, and you have to talk through all that stuff to make that happen.
Here at the Audio Theater, we do effort to try and create an environment where there's camaraderie and people feel like there's communication, there's trust, there's
Mhm.
understanding. Because I think it shows in the productions that we make, right?
Sure.
Because if we were lacking in those areas, right? If we didn't communicate, if we weren't friendly, if we weren't well, you probably wouldn't be participating. But that aside, uh, it shows and it comes out. I think you see you see the cast, you see us on the team, the staff working around. We just work together, and
Right.
we do that. Right? Sometimes we do just sit down afterwards and we just talk and we laugh and we feel comfortable. And I think it goes a long ways to sort of helping the production, the quality of the production,
No, for
and
sure.
also just wanting people to be like, well, I want to come back. You
Right.
know, you obviously seem very enthusiastic about your opportunities here at
Mhm.
WAOB, and you keep coming back. So
Right.
something has, you haven't been like, at least not yet.
Yeah, oh, I agree, and that, after we finish, even if whatever, if it's a rehearsal or we've just recorded something, that's sitting out and having a donut and having a coffee, and I don't even like donuts, but I always have one. Like
Here, you like donuts today.
Right, right, but that, like, just the bottled waters that you have for us, like, that's little, but boy, it goes a long way. But I love sitting out there and afterwards and just laughing with people
That's
because
good.
everyone's so creative too.
Right.
And you don't really know that because, like, you were a cat, you were a crow, you were a dog, you were a Martian, like, whatever it is, but it's just nice, like, this is nice.
I think the creative people have a particular sort of mind, and when you can put a group of creative people together, it's this opportunity for this sort of blossoming of ideas, of personality, of you're not even sure what's going to come up. But whether it's out of the studio or in the studio, you feel that creative energy sort of just coming out from everyone,
Mhm.
and everyone feels it. I think, and it really just is across. It spreads to everyone in there because anyone who maybe has a little bit of tension, I think they kind of relax.
Mhm.
But that creative uh, that creative community put together into one space. You just sort of have to sort of set it and forget it. Like something's going to happen if you leave it there long enough.
Right. Right.
So you've been here with Audio Theater for a few years now.
Uh-huh.
Up to this point, can you name, one or two of the favorite things that you've produced or been a part of, the productions?
I loved Destiny. I loved playing the role of Destiny.
Oh, A Frog's Destiny.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yep. It was so fun because there were kids that were like jumping in the sand and dinging bells and making noises, and it was just fun to watch because they were so enthused about this, and just to hear people doing funny voices, like the frog's voice, like he was so stinking funny, and when we ran through it the first time, it just made me laugh. It was just really cute. Um, I really liked that one, and I liked, Bremen musicians.
That was a fun one.
That was, like, where the energy was just, like, way up here. Like, everyone just started feeding off of each other. It was hysterical.
That was a good one. I'll put a link to Bremen in there, but Peg was our narrator, right? And you were a very good narrator. I mean, I made a comment to you after I think one of the rehearsals, just like your ability to sort of come in with that "let's read a book now" type of voice. Once upon a time, you just have that very sort of soothing voice. But that's just one part of you, right? You're able to obviously uh, pick up a role without really too much effort, and you do put a lot of energy into your performances, which I haven't known you as long as some of the other staff, but I've come to recognize very quickly that you do have a knack for performance. Does that come to you like naturally? Does it feel effortlessly to just sort of get behind the mic and be the person, be the character you're supposed to be?
No, it's fun. I yeah. Like, when I was rehearsing for this one that we're doing on, recording on, Saturday,
Oh, right.
it was my poor dog. She had to listen to me just to "Mirror, mirror on the wall." Like, she was like, "Hmm."
The dog was putting her paws over yours. Okay. It's it it's good to know like that, I ask you what you liked, and you could have easily said, "I loved my performance in this," and that would have been fine, but you said, "I liked A Frog's Destiny," not just because of your role, but because you talk about there were kids involved, and there's people making noises, and there's other things going on, and that's part of what made the production really enjoyable. Not
Mhm.
just your role,
Mhm.
but the whole production. And again, that's something that we want to be able to let other potential volunteers know. Like, come in and do your best at your performance, but that everything that we do here, that we try to create a complete environment for you to enjoy so that other people come in and say, "Oh, yeah, I enjoyed playing whatever role, but I really enjoyed just being a part of the whole production."
Yeah.
Because
It takes a village it really takes a village to put together something like this, especially when you're just listening to hearing someone do their role,
Mhm.
without the watching all the actors and the sound effects and
Right,
yeah,
right,
on those
right.
live performances, yeah.
Yeah. So, we're trying to do more of these what we're calling sort of live in studio productions where we
Mhm.
have all the cast at once and we're doing all the Foley effects and we're doing it and we're seeing that there is those types of productions have their own vibe as compared to sort of what we call the full productions, whereas you come in, you say your lines, someone else comes with their lines, and we put it together
Right,
later.
right.
And those come out very good, and those are very enjoyable. But these live in studio productions, as you can vouch for with Bremen, and then
And
now
Selling Point, that was another
Selling
one.
Point, that was great.
That was so fun to watch, and boy, Carrie with that vacuum cleaner, at one point, I just had to stop watching her because it just made me laugh so much. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
But the 3 of you were crazy busy, and Dennis and I are just sitting there.
Well, we had to make sure that we created the environment for you guys.
Yeah,
That
it
was,
was fun. It was a lot of fun.
and that was just you, like you and Dennis were the actors, right?
Right,
So, you came
right.
off of Bremen, and that was 4, 5, 6. That's 6 people. There was 4
4
animals.
animals.
You as a narrator.
6, 7, because then
So,
there were the robbers.
oh, right, the
Well,
Robert.
and there wasn't there another. Carrie didn't. She wasn't. She didn't have any
No,
lines in
no,
that
not
one. No,
not
she
not in
was.
that one.
No.
But you go from about 7 down to just one other person that you're directly talking to. You're not
Right.
narrating that one. A big transition, but still a really great performance. And we got some good feedback on
Oh,
Selling
good,
Point, so
good,
that was good.
good. And Dennis and I were both in that first production of at Cabaret Theater.
Small world.
First 2 productions actually, and he and I played off of each other in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Well, there was definitely a very good energy there in
Mm-hmm.
the performance that y'all gave. And Selling Point, I will also put a link to. So any of these that Peg mentions, I'll make sure to put a link to. So if you were going to try to encourage anyone who was thinking, oh, I don't know, maybe I want to do audio theater, or
Mm-hmm.
I want to go be a voice actor,
Mm-hmm.
and they were sort of on the fence. They're like, well, I don't know, and who are these people, and maybe I'm too scared, or I'm nervous about my voice. What kind of advice would you give to say you should go because?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to just try it. If you think you want to try it, then you have to try it. It's kind of like a teacher encouraging students, like, just try it,
Mhm.
and we can fix it. We'll go over everything, but it's kind of like that kind of instinct, I think, in me. You gotta go try it, and this is so welcoming. Like this organization is so welcoming, and I don't know. I'll keep coming back.
Well, if you're going to keep coming back, then we're going to keep being here. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
And
but yeah, I'm anxious. It seemed like there were maybe a couple new names on the in the show coming up in the
yeah,
Snow
it's
White.
going to be some
That's
new
exciting.
volunteers. So we're excited,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and everyone sort of has to be new once.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
after that, you can be part of the family,
Right, right.
And I think that's important is that no one is sort of no one is sort of being used here in a sense that like, well, we just need your voice and then see ya.
Right,
Like
right.
we want people to come and be a part of audio theater, but then to continue to be a part of audio theater. We're not concerned with people being sort of a commodity. We want people
Right.
to be here for something bigger, to
Sure.
really invest in this.
Mhm.
So, everything you're saying, I'm so thankful you're saying about us because we're doing the best that we can to grow this community of actors here because
Mhm.
that's what we are.
Right.
We are our own theater group, and yeah, we're not necessarily on stage, but our own performances are still really, really a lot of fun, and we want more people to be a part of it. So we are always sort of hoping that someone will come and
Right.
you know,
Right.
can I be a part of the
Mhm.
show? Let's see what's going on.
Right.
There's a
Right.
place for someone here. Whether it's going to be voice acting or Foley effects, there's a place here. And you found your way here,
Yeah.
and you said you're not going anywhere.
Right.
But it's great. It really is good, and we want more people to come and experience what you've experienced.
Mhm.
Uh, and that just kind of hopefully keeps going.
Yeah, and that I mean, what you really hit the nail on the head when you said we're not a commodity. Like, people here and the volunteers too, like, have a value for humans and a welcoming. That's how we should treat each other,
Right.
right? And, hopefully we can take that out of this building and put it to use
Right. I
in the
mean,
real
and
world too.
yeah, I mean, our mission, while we are a creative entity, our mission is we're creative to serve a higher calling.
Sure.
And that's the basis. So we
Mhm.
don't do what we do just for performance sake. We do what we do because we want to create something that's good and meaningful, and that our actions play into that, and that we're serving God
Right.
in the most Christ-like way possible, so that people do leave here thinking, "Wow, I I didn't know I could go and be so welcomed, and that
Sure.
a particular environment would be so nice to me."
Yeah.
Um, so I'm glad you recognize it, and we hope that others are recognizing that, and we really want people to come and experience that for themselves.
Right. And I mean, if someone is on the fence about like, I was a stranger here once, right?
Yeah,
We were all strangers when we went somewhere new. So, but this is a good place to have a place to fit in.
you are not a stranger anymore.
I am not a stranger anymore.
So if you were going to say sort of a closing word about your time, your volunteering here in audio theater, what would be sort of your closing statement? Your your finale, what would be the thing that you would say about audio theater?
Wow, that's a good one.
I
That's
know,
deep.
it
Ooh, that's
is.
deep.
You gotta dig for that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Didn't bring my shovel, but here goes. Um, if you're looking for a great safe place to be yourself and to build relationships, you gotta try it. If it's something, because there is a place for everyone here.
Just waiting, doing that awkward pause thing
Yeah,
to see if you were gonna say anything else.
I think I'm done.
I think you're done. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with the magnificent Peg Bryan, one of our volunteers here at WAOB Audio Theater. I'm going to put a link to all of the performances that she mentioned, so that you can listen to her in action or watch in Bremen town and Selling Point as it was. But we wanted to make sure that we extend a warm invitation to any of you maybe who are interested in being a part. So if you're in the greater Latrobe area, contact us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get you involved. Peg, I want to thank you so very much for taking some time to talk with me. Absolute pleasure to kind of open up the story of Peg Bryan a little bit more and how you came here. So thank you. Thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you for the invitation.
You're so
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Have to get you on the show again.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, until the next episode, I wish you all a very, very good, safe, happy week, and we will catch you again next time. Until then, be good, stay safe. Peace.